Hotel brothers and sisters, Black Pals, always giving honor to the Creator, giving honor to the ancestors, Chief of Staff, Brother Harris Abdul, all the street law soldiers, my father, my in-laws, my sister-in-law, my subscribers, viewers, supporters, donors, family members, and all of those who are fighting for our liberation and salvation of our black nation. As you all know, today is the day of brother Tupac. We're gonna celebrate the life of this brother. Today is his born day. Pac would have been 48 today. And as you can see, I'm rocking with Pac today. And the brother was very powerful, very, very special. He was a warrior. He was a visionary, a revolutionary, an actor, a rapper, a performer, an entertainer, a scholar, a poet, a brother, a son, a friend and comrade to many, many millions of people. And so we really want to give this brother his honor. Born 1971, June 16th, as Lassane Crooks. That was his original name before it was changed to Tupac Shakur. As we all know, his mother was a Panther, Afeni Shakur, who, along with Daruba Ben Wahad and other Panthers, was sentenced to prison, long-term prison sentences for being charged and framed with attempting to blow up various government buildings in New York City, accused of that. And she came home. She went to jail, pregnant, carrying that brother Pop the entire time near the end of her incarceration, and gave birth to a warrior. Pop grew up rough, like a lot of us, the welfare system. But unfortunately, Pop grew up as a child during the crack epidemic. And so things were extremely hard for this brother and his sister. Set. And he still stayed the course. They were living in Baltimore, they lived in New York, and then they finally moved to Marin City in LA. But prior to the Marin City pilgrimage, Pac went to the Baltimore School of the Arts along with Jada Pinkett and others. And also, a lot of people don't know Pac studied and performed ballet. And so, which paid off later on, becoming a roadie and a dancer for the group Digital Underground. There with Digital Underground, they allowed him to express his views and his Africanness in one of the videos called Same Song. You will see he's dressed in all African garb, like a African warrior chief. And so went back to New York making hits, Me Against the World, and Tupacalypse Now. Several albums. And I believe that Tupacalypse Now may be one of his some of his best work, along with Me Against the World. But unfortunately, with fame comes tragedy, set up, being crossed, being fucked over by so-called friends and the industry itself. Quad Studio, he was shot 5 times in an apparent botched robbery, which we all know was some bullshit. It was a setup in which,
instead of what's here, others see cracked concrete.
In which he blamed Biggie and Diddy for the setup. And there were several people in there, and I wouldn't put it past to Diddy. I don't think that Biggie was actually involved, but I wouldn't put it past to Diddy's faggot ass. Nevertheless, he was shot. He didn't die, which I believe all this was a setup to get rid of Pac, because they knew Pac was an up-and-coming warrior, a panther, who was going to resuscitate the new Black Panther Party along with Dr. Khaled. And these crackers seen it coming. Next was the rape charge, being set up with the rape charge by this nigga Haitian Jack and Jimmy Henchman, these fuckboy ass niggas that portrayed to be dope dealing motherfucking sucker ass niggas who, just like a lot of motherfuckers who hustle and sell dope, they're weak because they wait till they get a gun and the power of some drugs to hypnotize and weaken individuals in the community, in the hood, and then take advantage of them. That's a punk. And so with the rape charge, which everyone knows he was innocent of, he was sent up the road, sent to Dannemora, and that's where Suge Knight came into play. No one else wanted to pull him out. Although Me Against the World, that album outsold Bruce Springsteen's album that year. But Jimmy Iovine, Ted Field, and all these other white faggots of the industry just used Pac, became millionaires off of Me Against the World, and left him in jail because Pac was not controllable. He thought for himself. He made his and stood on his own foundation, and he would not be a fuckboy for these so-called white imposter Jews that dominate the black-owned, the black-ran music industry. And so Suge Knight pulled him out. He went to death row, which I think, had he stayed incarcerated, he would have been alive today. Nevertheless, see, a lot of people don't understand how it is when you are incarcerated, whether you can handle it or not, and then someone wants to bond you out. Most 9 times out of 10, you're going to go. You're going to go. Whether you okay in prison or not. And so that's what Pac did. He just was blind to the things that was ahead of him. Got with death row and allowed Suge Knight to inflate his ego. And so he began making all Suge's enemies his enemies, turning on Dre and the rest of these, and Snoop. Well, Snoop was the one who actually participated in the setup, along with Daz, and because Daz he's the wannabe, he's a fuckboy for Snoop, and they're cousins, but he's a fuckboy for Snoop because his career is through, and Snoop still looks out for him financially as long as he licks Snoop's ass, just like a lot of other rappers on the West Coast that are up under Suge's nuts. And so, you know, by Snoop being involved, setting Pac up for the shooting that took place, that took his life in Vegas, the Mike Tyson Bruce Seldon fight. They tried to blame it on Orlando Anderson. And see, this is the same outcome as the Nipsey Hussle murder. Okay, Nipsey Hussle was working with the LA Sheriff's gang unit to stop black on black violence between the Crips and Bloods and whatever other gangs are in LA warring against each other. But we all know that these crackers do not want to stop gang violence. So they played like they were going to assist and work with Nipsey into killing gang violence in LA at the same time paying someone and getting someone that looks like him to take his life. And so it was very easy to say he was gang affiliated and say he was still cripping and all this bullshit, which he wasn't. And it was so also easy to say for people on the street to convince niggas on the street that he was hot and he was snitching and working with the police, which he wasn't. He was, all of these things, see, these crackers knew that. So that's why it became literally easy for Nipsey to be murdered. Now, if the LA sheriffs were really committed into stopping gang violence, knowing that the niggas on the street knew that Nipsey had been talking with him, they would have protected him. So it's easy. Just think about it, brothers and sisters. It was the same way with Pac. LA, Vegas police put a hit on Pac and murdered him because, see, Pac and Khalid Muhammad, Danny Bakewell, and others were attempting, Tony Bogart, they were attempting to, along with Monster Cody, to have the gang's truce, put down their rags, the blue and red, and pick up the black and join and follow the leadership of Dr. Khalid Muhammad with the new Black Panther Party. And so membership would have went from 15,000 to probably 3 million. So Pac became a threat to national security. So they had to get rid of him. Even all of the bodyguards ended up mysteriously being murdered. Frank Alexander, being the closest one to Pac, was supposedly had committed suicide. Now here's a brother that just wrote a book, movie deal on the table, had a ranch with horses, well off financially, and blows his head off. That's complete bullshit. And they tried to make it appear like he missed Pac so bad that he wanted to join him by taking his own self out. And niggas bought that bullshit. Instead of investigating and start hunting these motherfucking cops down, these dirty, filthy motherfucking cops. That's why I don't fuck with law enforcement whatsoever. Although there may be some good brothers on some of these forces in the United States, I just don't fuck with them. I don't trust them. I don't like them. I've never had good experiences with them. I don't do police. So motherfucker. Nevertheless, when the walkie-talkies that two of the securities kept on them because they were told to disarm themselves this particular night. Never been told to disarm themselves until this particular night. And one of the brothers heard on the radio after Pac was shot, someone said, got him. Now, Orlando Anderson or none of them had a motherfucking police radio or a security radio or a CB that would pick up that channel. So this was the LA and Las Vegas PD working together because there are so many different stories about how Pac was taken to the hospital. White bitches that were out there saying he was flown by helicopter. Then you got niggas saying that he was driven to the hospital They waited on paramedics and all this bullshit. So everyone is lying to protect their lives. Because once they seen the viciousness of law enforcement, that put tremendous fear in the hearts of everyday motherfucking people. So, you know, Pac was a very, very strong brother whose trust was violated. And all Pac had to do was fall back. After every CD sale, he said he was going to build a treatment center and a shelter in every hood to stop, to crush black homelessness and black drug addiction, because his mother struggled with crack cocaine. Now, this was the thing about Afeni and the crack cocaine. The FBI sent and planted a nigga to act like he was interested in Afeni. Afeni allowed him to come in because he had somewhat of a heavy supply of crack cocaine and turned her out on the crack cocaine just to kill her revolutionary warrior spirit, so she would not be able to pass that spirit on to Tupac. Does it make sense to you? So, these are the things that has happened that people are not talking about, and everybody's making millions of dollars lying on Pac's situation. You know, even this cracker, Russell Poole, who had information on the entire, both cases, Biggie and Pac, he told the LAPD what he had, and he's retired LAPD cop. They told him to come in, bring every piece of information that he had and every piece of evidence proving who was all involved in these assassinations, which it would have led back to the LAPD. They knew this. Russell Poole gets down there and has a massive heart attack. So where did all his information and evidence go? See, this is how these crackers work, and then they'll make you think that niggas killed Pac out of hate and all this. Yes, he had plenty of haters. That's why it was easy to pay somebody to get rid of him. But not only that, Pac had the mouthpiece and the heart and the spirit and the fire to wake the masses of black youth up. He was a weapon. He had became a weapon to white supremacy. He had became a threat to white supremacy, just him alone. Same way with Nipsey. Now, a lot of people, you young people that don't really know about Pac, you try to say Nipsey was more stronger and put in more work. That's so far from the fucking truth. And it's no disrespect to brother Nipsey Hussle, who did put in some work, and his heart was in the right place, and he was doing all the right things. And so LAPD and LA sheriffs had to get rid of him because of the entrepreneurship that he was going to spread in LA among the black men and women that were struggling. But see, it's no comparison. I'll give you an example. 20 years from now, what song will Nipsey Hussle have that people will remember? What song would he have will be bigger than Dear Mama? So Many Tears, Gangsta Party, Brenda Had a Baby, Keep Your Head Up, Gridlock, If I Die Tonight, Me Against the World. So Also, the movies that will go down in history 20 years from now, when people be watching Juice, Gridlock, Poetic Justice, Bullet. So, you know, once again, no disrespect to Nipsey, but it's a big difference. You know, Pac's legacy was much more broader. But Snoop was a threat. And as you can see, by Snoop's participation in helping Pac get murdered, Snoop blew up like a motherfucker. Snoop blew up. And see, this is what happens when they get rid of the threats. White supremacy will reward them. Snoop is now a game show host of the Joker's Wild. Now, this is supposed to be a gangbanger, which Pac made records dedicating so much shit to Snoop when he was going through his trial. And here's a motherfucker that had 2 murder cases, several other possession charges, never spent a day in jail. Everybody else on death row went to jail, with the exception of Snoop, who had the most severe charges. And he's the only one that can go all over the country smoking motherfucking drugs. Also, Snoop's father was an informant for the FBI. Because you don't know who's related to him, because he always says somebody's his nephew or uncle and all this bullshit. And this is why at Ricky Harris's funeral, Ricky Harris's people went after Snoop's ass. Because see, they know. But see, Snoop, he writes checks to the Crips. This is why they don't fuck with him. And this is why they ride his nuts. Because he looks out for them financially. And so, but Pac, being the strong revolutionary that he was, man, we want to say, you know, salute you, brother, for all the work you put in. You foresaw a lot of things coming towards you. And you talked about it in your music. You allowed and you helped so many people in the hood. A lot of people ate off Pac. That's the type of brother he was. But a lot of times, we can allow our egos to get in the way and get the best of us. The only thing that I really didn't like and despise what Pac done was when he did that photo shoot in the bathtub with those gold chains around his nuts, with all those white motherfucking pedophile, faggot, homosexual, freak motherfucking cracker photographers taking pictures of him, sodomizing him with their eyes. He really didn't have to do that pin-up bitch shit. And I'm just being straight up. Because like I always tell you all, nobody gets a pass. Nobody. You know, and it has to be like this. And another thing I didn't like, that I ain't mad at you video where he played with those ancestors and had pictured himself up in heaven with Red Fox, and you're not supposed to play with those ancestors like that. Nevertheless, his good far, 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 far outweighed his bad. Niggas was hating on him. Pac was articulate. He was strong. He was handsome. He could fight. And he was smart. He was a tactician. He was a warrior. A a lot of people continue to follow him, pattern themselves after Pac. And, you know, when he first passed, I know I didn't want to accept his passing. So every time they would say, was he alive, or they saw him this place and that place and what have you, you know, I began to believe that. But when the cracker takes you out like this, like they did Pac, there's no way that they would assist him in hiding to stage and fake his own death, because they hated him. And so staging your own death means somebody's trying to protect you. And the same people that murdered him were not trying to protect him. That was the goal. And rest in power, the 24 brothers that were murdered in that 12-day period after Pac passed. Between September 13th, 1996 and September 25th, 1996. 24 brothers were murdered behind the assassination of Pac, including Orlando Anderson and Pac security. And so we must never forget this brother. Always remember Pac. And as long as I'm here, I'm going to continue, because Pac is by hands down my favorite rap artist. Because he was the youngest revolutionary, the youngest warrior, the youngest brother that I saw that was extremely intelligent and articulate when he was here. And so we must give him credit. And I hope that you got something out of this. You know, happy birthday, Pac. And we're always going to celebrate you and call on the ancestors that they may continue to embrace you, continue to make you strong. And we ask, Pac, that you continue to grace us and bless us with your energy to keep us going, to keep us strong. Because no one dies. We only transfer energy. We only transfer energy. Physics law teaches us that all energy is constant. It just changes form. I want to give a shout out to Lynette Williams, Sunshine Melania, William Ivory, Mark Gipp, Dr. Baruch, and all fathers. You all know that I don't play them motherfucking holidays. But for the sake of acknowledging you all for the work you have done, because Father's Day is every day. Father's Day is tomorrow. Father's Day is Monday after next, and so on and so on. This is that cracker shit where he can, you know, because he doesn't spend time with his children. He just makes sure that they're financially, economically sound. And he goes off and adventure and travel the world and all this bullshit. And so that's the reason he celebrates Father's Day, because when he comes home and take a break and hugs and spend time with his children at the dinner table, far and few in between. That's why they have those days. But nevertheless, I'll be getting back to you all shortly with another video. And in the meantime, as always, brothers and sisters, Hotep, Black Power.